Hello, my friends. It is the most wonderful time of the year, which is yearly favorites videos. I am very much a Virgo and I love lists. And I love compiling my list of favorite products that I discovered throughout the year and then presenting them to you every year in this format. It is just deeply satisfying to me and I look forward to it every year. Today I'm starting with my very favorite category, which is eyeshadow. This one is not going to be a surprise at all because I never shut up about how much I love these glittery eyeshadows. These are my very well-loved Patrick Ta Major Dimension eyeshadow duos. If you're not familiar with these are these little eyeshadow duos. They are two very sparkly, twinkly, glimmery, glossy shades. These are my most favorite, most treasured, most worn shades. This is We Need Better Lighting, and this is Do You Know Who I Am? I know that the shades in Do You Know Who I Am look really similar, but let me tell you, they do look very different on the eyes. I did not expect to like this white shade from We Need Better Lighting as much as I do. When I tell you, it is the most glossy looking thing that I've ever put on my eyes. It is so stunning. It looks like there's this beautiful glossy mirror on your eyes. I add this to so many different eye looks to just give them an extra pop. If I was going to recommend two from this line to you, it definitely would be these ones. I also have the shade Slow Burn and Still at the Club. Slow Burn is one of the newer ones, and it really is so gorgeous. This is maybe the most impactful out of the range. This like light pink glittery shade is so freaking gorgeous on the eyes. It is like sequins on your eyes. Still at the Club, I don't know if it's necessarily worth your money. This top shade is really gorgeous, and I will admit it is very pretty. The bottom shade is just lacking. It's kind of like more of a satin. It also has this kind of blackened base that I just don't personally really like on me, so I would skip Still at the Club. Okay, those Patrick Ta duos are very spendy, so here's a more affordable option. This is the e.l.f. Liquid Metallic Eyeshadow in the shade Moon. I love these type of like warm, kind of deeper champagne shades. I just feel like they're so beautiful and brightening on the eyes and just really look flattering across a lot of different skin tones. This shade is super duper easy to apply either with your fingers or a brush. No matter how you apply it, it's pretty foolproof. It definitely has some glitter to it to give it like a glossy looking effect on the eyes, but it's not too over the top. I love to just kind of like pat this on the center of the eye. With my skin tone, it just sort of like blends into my skin and just sort of looks like I have a shiny eyelid. I find that this wears really well. I don't get any major creasing or fading with it. This is just like an all-around fantastic liquid eyeshadow. Let's talk about my favorite eyeshadow that I discovered this year and maybe like one of my favorite products. When I show you the swatch of this, you're not going to believe me because it looks so boring. But when I tell you, this comes alive on the eyelids. This is the Chantecaille Mermaid eyeshadow in the shade Sylvie. This is in their matte formula, but this is not a normal matte at all. It's not a powder, it's not a cream. It's not putty or bouncy like the ColourPop Super Shot shadows. It's more of like a very creamy powder. It is a matte formula, but has this absolutely stunning sheen to it that makes your eyelids look like they're just kind of like dewy and healthy. This type of formula and this type of finish are so hard to find. I really only can compare it to MAC Paint Pot and Groundwork if you've tried that one. That one's also another matte that has sort of like a sheen to it that makes your eyelids look just like softly glowing. I love everything about this shadow. The color is the perfect like camely tan shade for my skin tone. It's not too warm, not too cool. It just like softly defines my eyelids. This is my ultimate one and done eyeshadow, especially because I don't have to use a primer with this and it still lasts beautifully on me. Now keep in mind, I do have dry skin and I don't have super oily eyelids, so take that with a grain of salt. You may need to use a primer if you do have very oily eyelids, but for me, I can literally just take the brush into this pot, sweep it all over my lids, have this beautiful, gorgeous look that looks very natural and just like easy, and it lasts really beautifully. I fell in love with the Merit Solo Shadows this year. Shade Studio was the base of about 90% of my eye looks this year. These are a matte cream eyeshadow, and I would compare these to the MAC Paint Pots. Shade Studio I use the most out of the two that I have. For my skin tone, it is just the perfect sort of like base color for most of my neutral eye looks. I think it's very clear by the dent that I've made in this that I have really loved this year. Now, one caveat with this is I have had a lot of people reach out and say that theirs have dried out and become pretty much unusable on them. I will say I have not experienced this. I bought these in January of 2025 and they are still going very strong. Like they have not dried out at all on me. I think that maybe they tweaked the formula or the packaging on these so that they are not drying out because I know a lot of people were complaining about that. But for me, I have had no problems with that. If you've always been interested in the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette, but you don't like all the shades enough to shell out the cash for that, let me direct you to this little duo. This is the Natasha Denona Essential Eyeshadow Duo, and it is honestly kind of like the perfect travel eyeshadow duo for me. For one, I really, really like the packaging. It's nice and sturdy and weighty, and it does have a really nice mirror in it, but it's still very compact and super easy for travel. I was definitely a little bit worried that both of the shades would be too pink, but I don't find that to be the case at all. I'm not gonna get like super interesting looks with this. You're pretty much just gonna do one thing. For my purposes, I really, really love it. Okay, so next I've got two shadows that are essentially identical. Formula, packaging, shade, these are like basically the same shadow. However, I have them both and I recommend them both. The Touch in Sol Metalist Sparkling Foiled Pigment in Golden Peach. And then this is the Mizon Visualistic Shadow in Personal Champagne. Like I said, they're both basically the same, so just get whatever one is most accessible and most affordable for you. They are such gorgeous glittery shadows that have the finest sparkle in them that looks incredibly glossy and wet on the lids. There's nothing chunky about this glitter. It is just very fine and gives that glossy look that I'm always going for. Both of these shadows have very little base pigment, so you can really just sort of like tap them over top of whatever you have going on, whether it be a deeper matte shadow, a light shadow, absolutely nothing underneath. And they just give such a pretty glowy look to the lids. Both shades are sort of a golden peach, really, and they have a slightly iridescent finish. When I look up close at both of these, they do have a bit of like purple and blue to them, but nothing that like is very striking to the eye. Like when I see these, I pretty much just looks like a peach eyeshadow. Aside from Chantecaille Sylvie, this is my other tip-top favorite find of the year. This is the Auric Smoke Reflect Cream and Powder Eyeshadow Duo in the shade Temper. If y'all are familiar with the old discontinued Tom Ford eyeshadow duos, I think these were created to be sort of a dupe for those. My thing is that I like these even more than I liked the Tom Ford ones. What really stands out to me for these duos is the cream shade in the bottom. When I tell you this is the best cream eyeshadow I've ever tried. I mean, even better than the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize, which are usually my tip-top favorite cream shadow. These are special. It has kind of like a stiffer formula that is very, very thin, but yet creamy and easy to blend. Something about the thinness of this formula makes it just look so natural on the eyes, if that's possible with eyeshadow. It just sits very closely to your eyelid and never enhances texture on the lids. The lasting power on this duo is phenomenal. I've worn this for extremely long days and I've gotten like no creasing. This shade Temper is absolutely perfect for my skin tone. It is the perfect pinky bronze shade that really enhances my brown eyes and just looks really good on my skin tone. This is what I'm wearing today. As you can see, it looks pretty like subtle. It's not over the top, and that's why I love it so much. The powder shadow in this doesn't seem all that phenomenal. Like when I just swatched this by itself, I'm like, okay. But something about how this looks layered over top of the cream shadow just really brings it to life. Last up for eyeshadow, I've got the Dose of Colors It's Literally Magic Shimmer Sticks. This type of like cooling jelly-like eyeshadow sticks really took off after these launched. I will say I've tried a lot of them. I have not found anything that is quite as good as these. These are just like pure glossy, glittery, shimmery goodness. They apply incredibly easy. You can kind of like swipe them and like really build them up. That's what I usually do. Or you can kind of like tap them to get like a really nice twinkly look. Go over top of any eyeshadow so beautifully. And the best thing about them is that they don't have any fallout or creasing. They're just like so bulletproof once you put them on the eyes. I'm actually wearing a little bit of the shade Twinkle just in the center of my lid to add that like glossy punch of glitter. My favorite shades are Twinkle and Icy. One thing that I have noticed with the new shade Frost is it actually does crease on me, which is very strange. None of the other shades give me any creasing, but Frost did crease pretty badly. And that is a real bummer because it is such a gorgeous, like, cool-toned icy blue.